I'm sharing my screen.
Right. The audio is.
I'm not sure if you need it, but.
Okay, maybe let's get started. So today, please pay attention. You will get this presentation, but this will be very interactive. So ask questions. If you don't understand what he's doing, ask questions, because we want all of you to understand what he's doing and do it as well. This is not like an informational webinar. Like we want you to change what you're doing, improve what you're doing, and like learn what he's doing.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Everyone rested? Rested, caffeinated? All good. So it's been a while. I was watching Andrej Karpathy, one of the founding members of OpenAI, if you know him, and probably is one of the most prolific coders of our time. And he was bragging that he has not written a single line of code in over a year. That kind of resonated with me, and I was like, I can't take it further. I haven't opened Cursor or Cloud Code in months now. I just talk and software comes out of the other end. I run many products on my day-to-day in parallel, usually 5 or more at any given time. And I do it on this very laptop I'm presenting right now, and I don't even have any IDE, any development tools installed on this machine. So you're the technical room, so I don't want to go hand-wavy about this and actually go into detail a little bit. And all right, and talk about my architecture a little bit. So AI writes code is the wrong mental model. And if you adopt that mental model, it will lead you to build the wrong thing. We are all past, code generation. That's table stakes now. But the leap is, and what changes, what one person can do is an AI infrastructure that lives inside your business. Not a tool that you point to a problem, but a system that is resident, that is always on, reading everything, acting on its own, and wrapped in guardrails. So there are like typically 3 layers to what we do. There are the models, there's the orchestration, and there is the memory systems. So models are like engines. Engines are interchangeable. They are fast commoditizing. They're in a, price-wise, they're in a race to the bottom anyways. And if your differentiation lives in the model level, you don't have any differentiation. So let me talk about my org chart. So there's me. I'm do the product decisions, the judgment, the human in the loop. I have my engineering manager, which is Cloud Code, and I have my developers, also, again, Cloud Code. My entire setup lives on EC2 on its own box, including the development environment. all my tools.
One second. So who has their like own environment on cloud versus your laptop? Who's on the laptop? Who's on the cloud?
Not really. Not being at home counts.
Okay,
That counts. I would say it counts.
but like,
Small.
Mhm. Cool. How are you driving the remote environments?
Just I'm using like Chrome remote desktop.
Remote desktop. Excellent. That's how I do it as well. So I have my testing environment as well. I have Docker containers that have the development databases, all the test suites, Playwright, front-end testing. Everything lives on a single box. And I have one orchestrator agent that I talk to every day. Every single interaction, I interact with one agent, one Cloud Code session, which is capable of spinning off additional Cloud Code sessions and tmux into them. Everyone familiar with tmux or cmux? Okay. I love talking to a technical room.
It's not tmux. Please explain.
tmux is a little framework that allows you to run multiple terminal instances.
Just like how to use it.
I don't use it. It just is the background framework for running multiple Cloud Code sessions simultaneously.
They install it and then they can.
Yes, you just install tmux. You do, tmux new, run a Cloud Code session, tmux new again. Then you have another one. Then tmux attach. You can, do that. But I don't do it myself. I just let the primary session do it behind the scenes. And I drive this with Cloud Remote. I set it up in a way that it immediately, whenever a new session pops up, it does /RC automatically. I see it on my phone. I see it on my desktop. So I have a bunch of skills that manages this. These three are the most common ones, but there are like others that are helpers. So these are basically cloud skills, and /RC is /remote control. So you're logged into your Cloud Code instance on that machine. When you do /RC, whatever other cloud desktop or cloud mobile you're logged into, that session becomes remotely available. That saves you a lot of trouble from passing through firewalls or port forwarding, all that headaches. Anthropic takes care of it, so it's very convenient. So I have CC launch skill that launches a Cloud Code session, but keeps track of the session ID. So I can go back to that session whenever I want. And I have a small to-do application I built for myself. It's kind of a little magical to me. It's a to-do application that can do its own to-dos. So every morning I wake up, I have an agent that connected to all my emails, all my Slack channels, all my GitHub repos, all the project tracking boards I have. And by definition, it creates 3 must-haves, 3 good to nice to haves, and 3 cherry on tops that I want to do that day. And it automatically spins up, dedicated Cloud Code sessions for it, and they're all ready. I just go through and give a couple of directions, and they start executing on their own. And during the day, whatever comes up, I can just spin up new ones. I have CC status that goes through all the open sessions and gets a status check from where I left things yesterday. So morning roll call goes through CC status. Okay, this was this task you left behind yesterday. This meeting you need to go to, and all that stuff goes into the to do. And I have a CC kill that tears down. And one important thing, CC kill is it avoids compaction. Compaction is my enemy, so I hate it. So I wrote a special skill that winds down sessions without compaction.
What is compaction?
Summarizes the context.
and then you lose all fidelity, all the nuance that you are having on it. And if you're using, I'm sure everyone using a 1 million token context windows, it's quite enough for most things, but Cloud Code is stingy, and even at 20-30%, it tries to auto-compact when you resume a session. So next thing I have, go ahead.
You are like in this first slide, you store like a session. In normal session, you mentioned that. My understanding. Yeah.
Repeat that question again.
Do you, in order to block compassion, how do you tackle his meaning? How do you, yeah.
I turned it off at the cloud config level, but still sometimes it can circumnavigate that. I actually have the main orchestrator watch the tmux, and if it detects that it's compacting, it sends an escape sequence and aborts it. That's the only way I could do it. Cloud Code is very aggressive in compaction. I hope that was the question. Okay. Most important thing that I love is my personal knowledge graph. I went with a Neo4j graph database, but you can go even with SQLite. Works equally well. I went with graph database because I'm a nerd. Everything that happens throughout the day, every email that comes in, every granola transcript automatically goes through this pipeline that extracts entities. My typical universe is people, companies, events, who owes what to whom, kind of things. They all go to a knowledge graph. And not just the meta information, I save the entire transcripts, verbatim transcripts of the granola sessions as well. So whatever happens during the day, 2 weeks later, I can go back and ask, what was the last thing we talked with Murat? I have that ready.
Are you using this in lieu of like something like a HubSpot?
I tried all of them. I went with Obsidian. I went with Linear. All the things. I finally ended up, doing it myself. Couple of considerations there. Full ownership was my driving decision factor there. I didn't want, any data dependency, and it is equally easy to go either way. It's the same prompt that connects to Lua or a local SQL database. I have a recurring mechanism that every hour zips up everything and puts it into an S3 bucket, so everything is backed up. And I have versioning on S3 bucket, so I have built-in versioning as well. That works really well.
You looked at other like open source solutions for that too. So it's like, what do you use versus like build yourself?
I started with OpenClaw. Then I tried Hermes, how it's pronounced. They're all good, but again, from an ownership standpoint and ease of implementation is indifferent. So I went with building my own. So my typical conversational workflow is whenever I have a feature to build or a bug to fix, I directly talk to the orchestration agent. I call it Şey. Like there's a couple of double entendres there. Şey means thing in Turkish, and also there's a Game of Thrones reference there. I talk to Şey. I say, I need to work on this project, on this to do. It spins up a session for it. Primes the session with whatever information it needs to know. Then we talk through the feature or the bug that we need to build, comes up with an implementation plan. Then my secret weapon there is a thing I discovered a couple of months ago. It's called Multica. I strongly advise to take a look at that, Multica. is if you're old enough to remember Unix times, not Linux, but Unix. Unix came up with this first idea of sharing CPU time, and Multica is an homage to that. Just a little nerd tidbit. What it does is the core idea is, are you guys familiar with Kanban boards, Trello? It's the same idea. The core idea is your Trello board drives your Cloud Code sessions.
So when Cloud Code came out, you would put a prompt in, and agent goes and does something, comes back. You look at it and then you type something else. But who heard about looping? But looping is the next frontier. So the Boris Chernis and Andrei Karpathy, you want to talk about, you're doing looping. Looping, like you set up the goal, and the orchestrated agent keeps like spinning up agents until the goal is accomplished. But this is the next level, and we are in that phase right now. Like everybody sort of looping, like you should really, and you're doing looping.
Yes, I employ looping a lot. I embed it into my Multica process. So I talk to the main orchestrator Shay. Shay spins up a dedicated session, the PRD forms. Then Multica has a daemon that you can install on your computer, on your Mac Mini, and it works both ways. Then I say, okay, this is good to go. We're happy with everything. Create an epic and create these subtasks for the future. Then it goes to Multica and creates all the cards. And they are all geared towards like cold start Cloud Code sessions. Has its own Cloud MD file, tells the story of the future and the project and why we're doing this, all the context, going back to the email Murat sent me and why we're doing this, like entire story in one ticket. Then it starts driving them. I say, okay, this is good. Drive them to completion and ping me on Telegram when done.
1 second. Who is not following Gopher? Who's not following this? Someone, one of you, tell me what he's doing. Like, tell me what he just did.
Right. It seems like you break up all the work into subtasks, and subtask is equivalent to one session's worth of work.
Yes.
And then you just have it with its own like Cloud MD with its own instructions and like gotchas. And then you have an extra.
Correct. But the kicker is I don't do any of that myself. I have another agent do that as well.
Yeah. When you're making these custom Cloud MDs, are they like, do you have like a source one that you?
So Multica works in typical Trello fashion. You have a project. Project has its own description, has the why we're doing this information there. Then there are agents. Agents have their own instructions, and it contains how to approach it. Do we use work trees or not? What is the Git strategy? What are
those agents? Are you pre-creating those with rules that you like, or are you allowing your project manager agent to spontaneously create them?
I have a rule set. My understanding of best practices baked in one place that propagates and trickles down all the tasks. But I give a lot of leeway to the agents to tweak it according to the task at hand. For example, my rule book says everything needs to be tested against a development database. Integration tests must be performed. But there are tasks that don't really require that, or they are not applicable. So it strips them out automatically, and you don't lose the time agents working on that.
Sorry to dig deep into that, but
no, dig deeper.
Are those rules something that you have just as, okay, these are the rules, and then agents are spontaneously created based on the task to do them, or do you have set like agent personas that have?
I have agents per project. If I have 5 projects running, I have 5 agents dedicated to each project.
Are they created from the same instruction file or separate
personas?
Okay.
Because each project is unique and has different, sometimes one project is entirely in Go, So it has a completely different
But orchestrator agent is setting up these personas, or are you saying that?
90% of it.
Task splitting that happening, big task. The splitting into small stuff, you said, it's also done by an agent.
Yes.
Is it the orchestrator that you have, or is it part of all?
It's in the one in the middle, orchestrator agent on top, the dedicated session that tracks what's happening that part for particular task, then Multica and multiple agents that do individual tickets.
That medium one, you also yourself, something else.
Correct. That is also spun up by the orchestrator agent.
And agents does this agent handle both implementation and unit test with that task, and how the integration with test can be done across some tasks?
The middle agent is very high level. It just works predominantly on product intent documents and converts them into implementation principles. How that is implemented and what tasks, what tests are going to be conducted is the responsibility of the actual implementation agent at Multica level.
Good engineering requires some self-reflection, self-correction
Mhm.
in the step. So how do you organize such?
My methodology is each task runs in its own loop, completes the PRD requirements, runs the unit tests and integration tests and front-end tests, and returns with a PR, says I'm done, and passes it back up the chain to the, let's call it product management agent or project management agent. That one takes the diff. First, it analyzes the diff and verifies that, then runs a adversarial codex review after it finishes its own verification. If codex review says something negative, then it kicks it back to the implementation agent for correction, and this can go back and forth as many times as it needs, then comes back. And once every ticket is completed in a given feature or an epic, it kicks back all the way up to orchestrator agent. Orchestrator agents deploys it to a staging environment and pings me on Telegram with a link that here's the finished work. Go check it out. Then I can, wherever I am, I can go see what happened and provide feedback and start the entire loop all over again. So this gives me a lot of throughput capability. I start with, one project, kick it off. It's going to work for like 45 minutes to an hour. Then I move on to the next one, move on to the next one. By the time I'm done with the fifth one, first one finishes, I go back. So it's a very productive day.
So he's working on, multiple companies project at the same time. You are working on one company at a time. So I think in this much more controlled manner. But maybe this week, let's get you to the place where you start implementing more. You will be in the top 0.1% of Japanese developers if you can do this.
Are you measuring your success rate with your one session work division? So let's say you bust out all your work into these subtasks, and then you do a session, and then it's not enough, doesn't have enough context to finish the task. You measure that success rate?
That is actually a non-starter. You should never have a ticket with insufficient task to do it in one shot. It's not actually one shot. Internally, it does a full session of discovery and analysis, then implementation, then testing. But I made sure that process-wise, there's never a single Multica ticket that doesn't have enough information to finish that task from a cold start perspective.
How did you just get to that point? This is enough information for it to do the work.
The product manager agent does that actually. It has instructions that, you are delegating this work to another Cloud Code session, which has no idea what's going on. The instruction set should be populated enough to, satisfy a cold start session without having to go through the code base again. So the terminology it uses is anchor points, code anchor points. So it identifies all the code anchor points, all the touch points, all the libraries, all the dependencies that is required to finish that task and already baked into a single ticket. So it's not just about coding. This has, sorry.
You find that you need to go back sometimes and modify it and your product specs will have it good or some like a new ticket or modify existing ticket in the actual.
Of course it happens. It is not a process problem. Whenever I have to revisit an issue, 9 out of 10 of the time, it's my fault. I wasn't clear enough, or I was, impatient. That's my experience. If you're thorough in explaining what you need to do and why you need to do it, usually the process works seamlessly end to end. Yes, that is the first part I was talking about. I start working on a task. I talk to a dedicated Cloud Code session that we go through the work itself, not the implementation, but all the details. I have 2 skill sets that I use. You guys probably know Gary Tan. He published a skill set called GStack. It has 80 plus skills in it. I only use 3 of them. One is called CEO review. One is called office hours. Then there's CEO review and there's engineering review. Office hours grills you about the sanity of the feature you're building. Do you really need this feature, or is it something else you're after, but you're fooling yourself by building this? Pressure tests your idea. CEO review does the same, but more in a connected to the product sense. You're trying to build a file uploader, for instance, but is that the thing you want to build, or are you trying to make it easier for your users to list stuff? Ask those pressing questions. Once the PRD is ready, I run it through the engineering review skill. I say I run it, but this is actually part of the process. This happens automatically. And that one uses Cloud Code and Codex adversarial review to sanity check the entire PRD. It looks at, failure modes, the 5-point analysis and all that jazz.
This is happening before you hand it off to or get taken?
Before, yeah. This is the second step.
Create a plan, initial plan, that's it, what you call it, task with your task manager.
Yeah.
Very big plan with all the details.
The typical document is like 25 pages, 30 pages, like very detailed.
Do you do reviews at all, or is it
No.
It's reviewed by agents? You just trust it?
I don't read the code. I don't read the output. I'll show a couple of screens and you'll see why. One thing before this live demo I want to touch on is I started this as a coding assistance, but all how LLMs works. Basically, under the hood, it's just next token prediction. But the more data you add into it, somehow an intelligence emerges from the LLM's next token prediction. Something similar happens when you connect all your data sources to your agents. In my case, I surrendered my ego and, all my 7 different email accounts, all my Slacks, every data point I have is connected. Then something magical happens when you add all those data points. I call it ambient awareness. true story. A couple of months back, I was working on a deep tech session. We're discussing architectural design of a database scheme and whatnot. Took me like an hour of back and forth with the product agent. And I said, okay, this looks good. Let's ship it. It went through its motions and came back. Okay, this all looks green. I shipped it. By the way, your next meeting is in 4 minutes. So that turned on a light bulb, like, okay, there's something else happening here, because I wasn't talking about my calendar at all. It wasn't in the context at all. But the way I set it up is every time, every turn, it looks at the calendar, it looks at the to-dos, all the signals are baked in to the process. So I played on this a lot, and this made my life really easy. For example, I have like at least 5-10 meetings a day. Keeping up with that is a real chore, but nowadays, 15 minutes before every meeting, I get a Telegram message with a link to the join link, so I don't have to pick and hunt through like 9 different calendars, and a Google document link that has a prep sheet for me. Who am I talking to? Where did we leave things last time? What questions I need to ask? And that wasn't enough, because I bike a lot to work, and all my best ideas come to me while I'm biking. So I built a small complication for my Apple Watch that basically takes the voice recording and transcribes it to text and tmuxes it into the primary agent, the Shay agent. And I can do things like, for example, I'll do one now. I'm going to go into a session with M2W folks in the next hour. Prepare a sheet for me. In a couple of moments, this should go into my primary Cloud Code session, and I will receive a Telegram message with the document. Let's see if that happens. So your takeaways from this: have an orchestrator, not use it just for coding and technical stuff, but let it run your business. It makes a huge difference. Have a memory layer. Mine works for me. Yours could be different. Could be Lua, could be Obsidian, whatever your favorite flavor of tool. Connect to it. Guardrails. Of course, this is not all roses. Bad things happen, and you learn from every experience. In the earlier times, I started with okay, this looks good. Let's do the I didn't say deploy. Go ahead with the code, and it just got trigger happy and did the coding and deployed to production directly. So you have to build guardrails around that. Now deployments are always a separate conversation. It's baked into the very top level Claude MD file, things of that nature. My demo did not work. Oh, it did. Here. It gave me a mentor session prep document for my next meeting. All right, so yeah, the traditional answer to more work is to hire more people. That has always been the case. I'm making a different bet. I'm building one system that allows one person to do the job of many.
Do you ever have the problem that some agent gets stuck? Everything works in the ground and cloud doesn't you have so many agents, like the orchestrator, something splits into tasks and all of the operations. One of them gets stuck and just
The higher level agent, whenever it launches a Multica ticket, starts a watcher. That watcher listens to Multica's end signal, but there's a 30-minute timeout. If it doesn't hear back in 30 minutes, goes, checks what's happening. It might still be running, or it might get stuck because I hit, clause API limits sometimes. Oh, one thing, the sweetest thing is Multica uses your own Cloud Code sessions, so you don't have to use the API. Everything I'm talking about, I'm running off of a $200 subscription.
Is it Mesh thing, or is it the upfront, the Tmux session?
It's Tmux sessions in an EC2 instance. Nothing on my laptop. So, no, I have only one. For example, this is a typical. Or for example, I have automations. I use Sentry for bug tracking. Every morning, it checks Sentry, looks at the today's bugs, and creates tickets for Sentry for, Airbnb scrape stale, and it creates a really detailed, where to look, suggested triage, what complete means, what to do when it's complete. And if I move this ticket to do, it automatically creates the Cloud Code session and starts running it, but I no longer do this. Another agent does this. And why I'm not looking at PRs anymore, let's look at the usage. In the last 30 days, there were 548 tickets completed. It's not humanly possible to look at it. I wouldn't be doing anything else. So I trust it. I look at the outcome.
The outcome is not per ticket. You mentioned something like there are a bunch of tickets completed.
Sometimes it's one ticket, sometimes 20 tickets, depending on what you're building. If it's an Epic, it goes as long as like 30 tickets. I think my record is like 7 hours nonstop autonomous, building.
How do you decide, and how does it decide when to deploy to the staging to go to?
It is baked into the project's instructions. Some projects I don't have. The very early stage projects, they're like production staging. Nobody is using it, so it goes directly to production. More mature projects have its own staging. Even more mature projects have its own local Q&A first. I built some QA loop harnesses, for example. If it's a conversational product, if the user's interacting with the product in a conversational manner, I actually have one agent simulate the user interaction with the agent back and forth. It runs it on local first. If it passes, goes to staging. If it passes, but those high maturity products, of course, I pull the trigger on final production deployment.
Are you just doing the development, or do you have a GTM or setting agent?
I do have GTM. For one product, I built a Reddit process. It was about short-term rentals, this Airbnb management product. It goes to all short-term rental Airbnb, VRBO related Reddits and finds engagement opportunities. Depending on the account status, sometimes it just be, posts helpful things and, collects karma, then slowly starts introducing the product. I use it to create entire GTM strategy documents. Works really well. Same setup. I just talked to the primary agent. We need a GTM strategy for this product. Go take care of it. Another thing I added later, DevOps. My setup has access to AWS CLI. I create a specific IAM users that has toned down access control, like very limited write capability, but a lot of read capability, CloudWatch and everything. So I can get manage servers a lot. I haven't seen a AWS dashboard in months. Now I can just say we need a new EC2 instance, spin it up, install the SSL certificate, go to Route 53, register the domain. all taken care of. Actually, Dan was next to me yesterday. I had a busted SSL certificate, I noticed. I just said, this product's SSL is no longer working, go check it out. I didn't even give instructions. I said, go check it out. It found out that it's not the SSL actually, but here the connection here is not passing through. So it was a false alarm. For Fortinet, right?
You had used voice managed agents.
I did. It is cool. It is free, but the overhead annoyed me a lot because I need to. It's like Devin. Have you used Devin? Devin was the first one that came up with the cloud agents idea. For every ticket, I need to create an instance, pull the database, create the environment. That's a lot of overhead, and balloon the time up considerably if you're doing, especially doing in parallel. So I gave up on that idea and landed in the, okay, this is my EC2 box, everything happens here. But that's, I'm sure there will be some sort of project that works better that way.
So everybody has their own setup, finance your own project, own company. So do it your way. But this week, you can be talking to us, Chad, and we have options as well. But also, we have 11 more weeks of this program. So we would like all of you to start getting into this kind of position where just talk to your watch and go just before us. But thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
Now we'll do something extra. So I will call the company name and you will stand up and do a 30-second pitch of your business.